They say that stars are born, but sometimes they're reborn, resurrected in the tides of time, washed clean and polished anew. This is the story of Sheldon, once forgotten, now remembered. And Georgie and Mandy's first marriage's star. They always knew it. They always said Sheldon would come back. Prologue, the Golden Age. In the halcyon days of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, Sheldon was a luminary. On screen, he was all sharp cheekbones and sharper wit, delivering lines that curled through dialogue like silver smoke. He played Rodney Bathurst, Mandy's younger cousin, funny, ambitious, mischievous, and deeply in love with the idea of being loved. Fans adored him. Critics praised him. Everyone believed Rodney Bathurst was a force of nature. Off-screen, Sheldon was quieter, thoughtful. He'd stroll into the studio with a book under one arm, always needled for being serious. But he laughed like a man who loves peels, big, warmed up, infectious. He had friends. He had dreams, and also a fistful of disappointments. Then came the slow fade. Act 1, the fade. When Georgie and Mandy's first marriage ended, swept away by low ratings, awkward plot twists, contracts expired, Sheldon slipped into the background. He took smaller roles. Independent films. Commercials. A guest appearance here, a sketch there. He stopped being Rodney Bathurst and became that actor from Georgie and Mandy. Because the world is fickle. Because a star is nothing if not constantly lit. Times changed. Audiences changed. Social media stole attention spans. New stars emerged. But Sheldon? He waited. He learned. He cultivated a life. Some nights he said yes to everything. Some nights he retreated into silence. But always, always he believed the story didn't end here. Act 2, the whispered predictions. Meanwhile, across the swirling gossip and rumor mill, one voice rose above all, the star of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Let's call her Jewel Marlowe. She had played Mandy. Everyone knew Jewel's golden laugh, her impossible poise. She had watched Sheldon, watched him leave, and watched the world almost forget him. Jewel never believed he was done. Even at the closing night backstage, she had turned to the crew and said, "Wait. Mark my words. Sheldon's not gone. He'll come back better than ever." People laughed. Some nodded because it was polite. Others said it sounded delusional. He was washed up. He was pigeonholed. But Jewel stood firm. It was as if she had witnessed the ember still glowing beneath ash. And she knew any ember can become flame again if you protect it. Act 3, the slow rise. It starts small. A podcast appearance. A guest role in a comedy drama. A cameo, then another. Then, one critic writes, Rodney Bathurst has grown up. Another, Sheldon's voice now carries weight. Then, the audition. It came disguised as something modest. An art house film, shot on a shoestring budget. Little pay, but big heart. The director said he needed someone who could make you believe in sincerity. Someone who carried regret but didn't drown in it. Everyone passed. Sheldon didn't. Because that's what he'd been carrying all these years. Regret met with hope. The film premiered at a small festival. Audiences found something raw, something real. They found Sheldon. They found Rodney Bathurst remade, older, softer, but still piercing. Someone who has lived. Then came the reviews. He was a revelation. He steals every scene. It's been long enough that nostalgia struck, not for Georgie and Mandy, but for the person behind Rodney. The man who once was a star and now rising. Act 4, spotlight reclaimed. It's midnight. Jewel Marlowe is on a late-night show. The host says, "You predicted this. You know Sheldon's comeback." Jewel smiles, modest. "Honestly, I always believed in his truth. I always believed in his fire. Sometimes stars need breathing space. Sometimes they hide. But the fire? It's always there." Sheldon watches from backstage. Maybe he's nervous. Maybe he's grateful. After years of half-lights, of being someone else's shadow, he steps forward. Soon comes a casting call, a major motion picture. Big budget, big stakes. They need someone who can play a man who's lost much, loved more, and finally redeems himself. Producers think of Sheldon. They remember the podcast, the indie film. They remember the reviews. They remember Jules' words. And they offer him the role. Headliner. After the rise, the audition. Act V, the return. Opening night. Flashbulbs pop. Red carpet stretched out like a scarlet river. Camera crews chase, fans crowd, velvet ropes stand firm. Sheldon appears in a tailored suit, elegant, but understated. He doesn't shout for attention. He lets his presence pull the light toward him. There's Jewel, too, Mandy, in character and out. She walks in and sees him. Their eyes meet. She nods proud. In the screening room, the audience is quiet. The film unfolds. We see Sheldon, now older by a few years, carrying the lines not just with his voice, but with his bones. With the weight of living. With the honesty of forgiveness. He echoes the past, but is fully in the present. By the final scene, tears. Or silence. Claps. Standing ovation. The kind that shakes. The kind that says, you mattered. The critics come. More praise. The internet buzzes. Sheldon's back. One of the year's best performances. Jules' prediction heralded again in interviews. I told you so. Epilogue. Star is right. Stars are right sometimes. Not because they see the future, because they see the truth. Jules saw the truth in Sheldon. She saw his integrity. She saw the ember of passion under years of quiet. She saw what many missed, that sometimes success isn't about constant visibility. Sometimes it's about endurance. Sheldon's comeback is more than a triumphant arc. It's a testament that talent can simmer, that worth persists even when it seems lost, that people remember, even if they pretend not to. And so we see him now, walking into that room of lights and applause, not just as Rodney Bathurst, not just as a character of old fame, but as someone reborn. In the afterglow, Jewel stands back, pleased but not surprised. She doesn't say, I told you, so loudly. She smiles quietly, because she knew all along. Conclusion. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage's star is right about Sheldon's comeback isn't just a headline. It's a story about belief. About a star who believed in another star, even when the world had turned away. It's about rising again, not for fame, but for truth. Because the best comebacks are never about proving others wrong. They're about proving to oneself that the fire still burns. Sheldon's comeback is his own. Sculpted by years of patient waiting, tempered by trials, polished by practice, and finally unveiled in full light. Jules' star was right, because she saw what mattered. And as the lights dim and the applause lingers, we realize every ending carries seeds of a new beginning. And sometimes, the brightest stars are those who rise from the dark. If you like, I can adjust tone, dramatic, humorous, lyrical, or angle internal monologue, third person, etc. Do you want me to rewrite it in a different style?